Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I am Haggis Gaming. Obviously, you see a different name on my channel. This is my first video ever on YouTube, so please, if you have any positive comments, share it with me. And this time I am going to show you how Kerrigan plays in Starcraft 2 Co-Op. The reason behind these guide videos is that I have seen so many bad players and beginners that I'm kind of fed up with them, so I want to help them. And I'm playing with a friend who agreed to recording. And I think he's going to come with Artemis, which is a very nice combination for Kerrigan, especially early game, because Zerglings don't have much health. So a short overview about Kerrigan. Units. She has Raptors, a Zergling strain with 2+ attack, not a big deal. But they can also jump across cliffs or obstacles and onto targets. That can be quite handful, especially against Marines. You know, every second or millisecond you can spare. It's just awesome when you want to save them, especially early game, because you can screw a lot of things up in early game, especially in harder difficulties. The Queen, essentially a support unit which I only use for spawning lava and creep timber. The second is especially important. You have Hydras that can morph into lurkers. I think they are actually the bread and butter of your army, especially that they are so universal. They can attack air and ground units, which makes them quite useful. You have Metalisk that can morph into Broodlords, whatever. Something I rarely use. They simply cost too much Vespene gas, and with Kerrigan I'm often starved of Vespene. There is an alternative build in which you go for Metalisk and Broodlords, and that can work quite well too, but normally I go for ground forces and ground army. You also have the Ultralisk, the Taurusk variant, which can respawn after its death. Overseer, pretty much basic unit. And finally the Lurker, which is another good unit. The Lurker plays pretty much like the siege tank in many ways. It has a setup time, has the same bonus against armored units, and it's quite cool. It works very well with Borazun's passive that makes them able to survive a death by teleporting to, I think, the hatchery, but I'm not sure about that. Basically a good combination with Artemis, especially because you have many low health units. Now for upgrades, the level 1 upgrade is, I think I don't really have to talk about that. Kerrigan basically gains a shield with each attack. Immobilization wave at second level is quite awesome, especially against hybrids and lots of high damage, high health mobs, which can be very easily killed once immobilized. Ruthlessness increases damage for leaping strike and its range, and for psionic shift, both very handy. Just a second. And now the first cool upgrade at level 4 is the spawning pool upgrade, which makes Zergling pretty much one of the best support units you can have on the ground. The 10+ health is not really a big deal, although it can really make them able to stay alive for, well, just a bit longer. It's not a big deal. However, the other bonus that makes Zergling's attack reduce their target armor to 0 is quite good, especially that you can, well, it's not quite good, it's it's good. Um, it doesn't really sound a lot because basically we are talking about armors of 3 or 4, so most enemies will take just 3 or more damage from each attack. However, when you have 10 or more Hydralisks out, it easily racks up to 30 and 40 plus damage. That is very helpful on high health mobs. Then we have the Lurker, which is the unit itself. Then we have a Hydralisk and a Lurker upgrade cage on level 6, which gives Hydralisk 20 more health. Quite good if you ask me. For very obvious reasons. And the Frenzy, which is by the way a key upgrade for ground Kerrigan. And finally the Lurker's attack range increase 3 range, plus 3 range, which is quite useful if you ask me, although I rarely use Lurkers for some reason. Then we have Malign Creep, which is one of the best things you can have as Kerrigan. Increased life regeneration, and now with the latest patch it also heals mechanical units and not just the biological units. It also increases attack speed, which translates into even more or even better Hydralisk, Zerglings and Kerrigan. I will talk about that in game. Then you have the Omega Worm, which is one of the best things. It does not cost resources to spawn the exit point, although you still have to construct the initial worm. Then we have the Kerrigan upgrade cage at level 9, which is fairly okay, especially that Kerrigan's attack can chain. That simply makes her amazing, especially combined with Fury, which is a 50% increase in damage, attack speed, sorry. I found Kerrigan one of the best things to have live in your army. We have the Spire upgrade cage, which upgrades the Magilisk attack to deal 100% more damage, bonus damage to armored units, which essentially makes them very good air units. The other bonus, increased movement speed for Broodlord, is, I think, mediocre. Yet again, I rarely use air units as Kerrigan. At level 12 you get the Raptor upgrade cage, which I have already mentioned. So your Zerglings can leap over obstacles and charge onto targets, charge targets. Quite good if you ask me. And also +2 attack, that is not much on the other hand. 13 and 14, one of the best upgrades that you can have, well, possibly. The Burrow charge is not really a big deal. I think that it does not really make it any more powerful. On the other hand, the other upgrade, which makes Ultralisk heal themselves for 40% of the damage dealt, is quite amazing. And then you have the Thorask evolution, which well, I've never really lost an Ultralisk since I have Thorask, so I can't really tell if it costs Vespine or Mineral, but it essentially makes a tank unit even better. And then you have a Queen of Blades, increasing Kerrigan's energy regeneration. That's quite good. For Masteries you have energy regen, Kerrigan attack damage. I think that is a bit better. Then we have in the powers to reduce Vespine gas cost, which I think is quite good, especially that we are talking about a hero or a commander that is very easily gas starved, or assimilation or iteration, also a good thing if you ask me. And as power set 3 to mediocre stuff, lava spawn rate quite handy, especially that you don't spawn lava like hell with, as with say Zagara or a buffer, I think. And then you have a Kerrigan Cocoon birth time, which can be useful on Brutal. We are going to play hard. my friend doesn't really want to be brutal with as of now. And Kerrigan is a pretty straightforward hero. Early game you have to decide whether you go through ground or air. And you basically just go ahead that line. If you go for ground army, there are two mistakes that you can do. One is that you do not spam Zerglings. You have to spam Zerglings. Remember that 0 armor, it can very easily rack up to 30 or even 80 damage per volley. Well, depending on how much Hydrisk you have. So that's quite useful. So guys, please spam those Zerglings, even in late game. You are not just a Hydralisk and Ultralisk, but you also have to use Zerglings. As I've told you, Hydralisk is the bread and butter of your army. They are the backbone, and you have to focus around them.
Once they activate, those shards will decimate Augustgrad. We need to destroy each of them before that happens.
Okay, so
don't let me down.
Of course, once you get to tier 3,
we require not enough minerals.
You also mind using Ultralisk. They are very good at tanking it, and with Torask and other fancy stuff, they can actually mean a lot for your army. We are on Rifts of Korhol, and because the bonus objective is air, I'm quite good with the Hydralisks. The second mistake that you can do with Kerrigan is that you do not use the Omega Burn.
We need more minerals.
Omega Burn simply gives Kerrigan one thing that makes her quite good, and essentially it is required to use, especially on harder levels.
We require more minerals.
The strategic mobility. So, for example, on this map we have a rift somewhere here, 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 and here. But there are maps. Lock and load? I think lock and load.
The enemy moves against us. We will meet them head on.
Quite slow now.
We require more minerals.
Yeah, with Artemis you have a very you can have a very cheesy tactic, especially for early game. Once I do the video for Artemis, I can show you that. Okay, this is also this can be a very good tactic.
An enemy brood wishes to challenge you.
As you can see, Zerglings have very low health, and for them the Guardian Shell can be quite efficient. So if you are playing with Kerrigan and you're not using Omega Burn, you are doing a mistake. So please use it. Even your allies can use Omega Burn. That's what makes it so cool. Finally, the last mistake that you can do with Kerrigan is that you do not spawn tumors.
Not enough energy.
Okay, I will have to check how much attack speed bonus it gives actually, but if I remember correctly, it is around 30.
Your efforts are futile.
Yeah, please note that I'm not the best player ever.
Speak.
So you can see that Kerrigan also already stacked up his attack speed, so it's quite possible to do that. To reach the that 50% more attack speed.
Your landing point, so that's your first objective. Best of luck out there.
One thing, by the way, about the creep tumors is that they can be killed, and the AI typically goes for it. Unfortunately, it can be targeted.
Brace
so
yourselves. Enemy forces are inbound.
that's just so bad when it comes to it. And it is 30%. Yeah, it is a 30% increase in damage. Well, attack speed. I'm sorry. And it also spreads farther and faster. And for some reason it does not say that it has increased attack speed.
Our allies are in combat.
Maybe it does.
Our forces are under attack.
Maybe it does not. I think it's more for hidden.
Spawn more overlords.
You have my attention. No time.
I am shielding our forces now.
Our foes shall become our resources. I am the swarm. Research continues.
So I'm always trying to hide them some way or another.
That's just the first of many. Okay, commanders, let's get to work. Several void shards appearing on our sensors. Make sure you destroy all of them.
I'm quite slow by the way now, but it's because it's quite cold in the room. I opened the window and it's quite cold for the summer. And as you can see, I can
Metamorphosis.
I have reasons between that. As you can see, what I'm trying to do is spreading the creep as far as possible.
Assimilation.
I typically go for 4 of them
Incoming.
for some reason.
Get ready. Explain yourself. No time like the present.
And also set up some defenses.
Evolution complete.
Bold.
Our allies' base is threatened. Our allies are in combat.
And also please note, one other reason to actually use the creep to move 4 is that it also increases the attack speed for friendly units, I mean allied units. Yeah, that's a research, so that's the only bad thing about that upgrade, the chain attack.
Already?
I've actually got to do for more, please. So solid understanding is required to play co-op. I mean solid understanding of
Immobilization
what
wave
your
is
things
now
actually are
available.
doing. By the way, you can do that now. Previously you could not, you should not use a spawn lava on a hatchery that already has that effect.
Evolution completed.
But
You
you
have
can
my
do that
attention.
now because
I need
it does not,
answers.
well, it works, so
Research
it
continues.
remembers the previous spawn lava, and as such, you can do that. Previously, if you used it, you wasted the energy and the time.
Evolution
and,
complete.
nothing, it was wasted. but it is no longer
Make
wasted,
it quick.
so we can do that. And I
Enemy
kindly
forces
encourage you
incoming.
to
Slay them
actually
to
do
the
that.
last. You have my attention.
Attack
I need
incoming.
answers.
I have upgraded my Zerglings. Yeah, after the baby are going to attack.
Our forces have met the enemy. Our allies are in combat.
The enemy's biomass will provide
Yeah,
us.
it's good to use that.
Scum ransacks
As you
the
can see,
city at a time
it
like
is
this?
quite OP.
I know it's a personal request, but if you can,
Not the best use
please kill them
because I
all.
should have used it earlier. Than the attack failed.
Metamorphosis complete.
it'll take more than a few void shards to defeat the Dominion.
The objective's down.
And I think we remember
Our
what you should
forces
be
are
doing
under
with
attack.
Kerrigan. Try to have more hatcheries up than just two, so you might need more than just two. It still helps you with.
More
More void shards are appearing. Destroying them is your main objective.
And so far I have not yet spawned a single Ultralisk for some
our
reason.
allies are in combat.
And by the way, as you can see, I have a lot. I have lots of spare mineral.
Our allies are
You
in
should
combat.
use it always in defensive.
That's the
line.
thing about the Dominion.
You won't be able to defend
Even in a crisis,
your
our
base
rule of
with your
law
defenses.
holds
Zerg is typically weak when it comes to defense.
The simulation aura is now
On
ready.
the other hand, you have to, because it can still slow the enemy down, or the attack waves down.
You have my attention. Boldly.
Detecting enemy forces. Templar, prepare to intercept.
Evolution complete.
Ability costs and cooldowns are reduced.
Our
That's a good
forces
thing.
are under attack.
Please remember that you might want to use the simulation wave as much as possible, so you have to go for it.
Are in combat.
I
But then you also risk Hydralisk. Oh, I do.
I need.
Good to know.
Immobilization wave is available, my
By the way.
queen.
One less Vespene gas
We
is
require
required to
more
spawn a
Vespene
Hydralisk.
gas.
So yeah, that mastery point is quite awesome.
Our allies are in combat.
And frenzy, indeed.
require
I have
more
to
Vespene
save up
gas.
some resources for that. And another good thing about roaches on Zerglings is that they reduce the armor that the
No
target,
time.
which means
I've stunned the enemy. Kill them.
that no matter what is attacking the target, it
Our
helps.
allies
So
are in
even your
combat.
allies, even your friends, allies, help. So it's a must. It's a must research.
And another void shard crumbles into dust. Well done, commanders.
You basically
We
have to remember
dealt a
one thing
powerful blow to our enemy.
about Kerrigan
Completed.
and typically the Zerg.
Our
is
forces
that
have met the enemy in combat.
You are an offensive race and you are an offensive commander. You are not going to be defending, although you should not defend. The only kind of defense you can put up
Void shard
is that
eliminated.
attack.
Keep it up.
Well
That's
fought.
the only defense
Things
you
are almost
have.
back under control. This is the
And
last group
you
of void
basically want
shards.
to improve
Let's
this
take back
capability
our
of
city.
yours. So the sooner the enemy dies, the more units you can actually spare. So if you want to save your units, you should kill the enemy faster than they can kill your units. well, basically that's quite common.
The enemy is coming for us.
The game is basically
Templar,
around that.
ready your blades.
But with Kerrigan you can pretty much assure this that
You
the
have
enemy
my
dies
attention.
before your
My
use
search
die
continues.
all the time.
Unacceptable. Our allies are in combat.
Our foes shall become our resources.
Yet again, should not really talk this much about Kerrigan. She's pretty much a straightforward unit
I am
commander. So
your queen listens.
Metamorphosis completed.
what? Oh,
Not enough.
two
Best
less
speed.
mineral needed, less being needed for my ultralisk.
Yes.
Quite sweet. I should not talk this much about Kerrigan because, as I mentioned, she's a very straightforward commander, so you can't
I've
misunderstand
come
it.
this far.
Our ally.
But what you can see is that Defender's
Shielding our warriors now.
been on the offensive more than I am.
Unacceptable command.
But you should note that I only go for ground units.
Our allies
Those
are
filthy pirates are trying for
And as you
another
can see,
score. Let's lay down the law, commanders.
Action.
there's a
evolution
mistake.
completed. Assimilation aura
Have
is
my
now
attention.
ready.
I should be faster. Be a better picker. I know that. But I have not a single air
Pirate
unit.
ship neutralized.
I would really like to show how
Nothing worse than pirates
uh,
and traitors.
the air Kerrigan plays like. Revive upon death. So,
Explain yourself.
I actually take it like
Unacceptable command.
what it suggests is that it does not cost Vespine or
What is it
mineral to
already?
respawn the so I'm interested about this fact, how that actually works. So I'm just going to kill my ultralisk over here. And no, there's a cocoon, as you can see, which can be killed, by the way. So
The enemy's coming for us. Hope you're ready for this.
I think I'm
More
wiser.
Vespine required. Our forces are under
And as you can see,
attack.
this is not a defensive map, so I'm not even going for lurkers.
Evolution. Metamorphosis.
It's time to assimilate the next one. Enemy stumbled.
Oh, lots of resources, as you can see.
Explain yourself.
Our allies are in our combat. Forces have met the
And
enemy in
one thing that
combat.
you should be able to see that
Our allies require more Vespine gas.
yeah, it's stuns, so it can be very helpful. It's a kind of a disruption
We'll obliterate every
there.
void shard you stick in the ground.
But as you can see, Craig, it's really an offensive
Keep
army.
fighting.
It plays like that, and you should always remember that your units won't last long. They clearly have no chances of survival. It's typically Zergish tactic, if you ask me. So this is even more true for Zagara, where we are actually supposed to use units. Tons of them, I would say.
Completed.
There you can see how
Looks like
quickly
you fixed
things
another
fall
void
beneath
shard, commanders. I'm
Kerrigan's
impressed.
army.
Thus to
Yeah,
all enemies of
Short
the
mission,
Templar.
very easy. Yet again, my friend knows
That's all
what
of the
he
void
is supposed to do,
shards. The
and
city
even
is
I do.
ours. You hear that, Amon? The Dominion is not so easily defeated.
Pretty straightforward. I think you should understand everything based on this video. Ooh, master level. Even 2. Nice. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like my voice, or if you want to see where this channel is actually going to go, please subscribe. See you.